It's 4 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's 6 o'clock in Chicago. And it's 7 p.m. live from Philadelphia. Hello, everybody. This is the Mad Dog, and you are watching, listening worldwide on BRS. What's the Buzz? America's best podcast. Good Lord. It's going to be one of them nights tonight, folks. I am with her. She's back. I can try to get rid of her. I swear to God, I try to get rid of her every time she comes up here. Amelia, the Pitbull Chapin, you made your way in again. You pain in my arse. How you doing, baby?
Doing good. How are you?
Oh man, I'm in a lot of pain. Okay, so I just have to be happy tonight. I'm in a lot of pain, so I'm going to share something with you guys. I have something called internal shingles, and I am
no. That can't be real. That's real.
Yeah, they're called Zoster-Zine complex. It's internal shingles with no visible signs of a rash, but the pain is excruciating.
Oh.
So that's what I'm dealing with tonight. That's what I'm doing. But I have a happy crew. They're going to make me smile tonight. Amelia, you know what, Amelia? God bless you, because I bust your chops every week. I really do. And you put up with it, and you smile, and you go, yeah, he's a freaking lunatic like Lacy. But you smile your way through it, and you put up with my shenanigans. And thank you, and thank you for not running off somewhere else. So listen, this was kind of your idea tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We got a couple of amazing guests tonight. Of course, Lacy J Dalton, our favorite country music Hall of Famer. She is an award-winning artist. You might know her from Black Coffee from 16th Avenue. I love that song, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I love 16th Avenue. And I love her early version of Wild Turkey when she literally kicks up her feet on that one. And that was when I think you might have been with maybe Merle Haggard, I want to say.
Yep.
Am I right? Okay, there you go.
Right. You are right.
See, because I'm fucking old.
I don't know. Pain becomes you.
Pain? Am I right?
I got news for you. We're looking at like 17,143,000 subscribers.
Oh,
I'm not even not bullshit you not.
No.
For real.
Wow, that is
For
incredible. Congratulations. Is that new or is that been for a minute?
I gotta show you something.
Yeah.
Check it out. This is from Alistair. You know, podcast addict. There you go.
Yeah. Oh wow, nice.
Wow.
We got an award. It says award for excellence in podcast entertainment, talk and variety category.
Nice.
Presented by Podcast Addict to What's the Buzz Podcast and WTBR Radio and Mad Dog Media. Hello there. Couldn't have did it without you, Amelia.
Thank you.
Couldn't
Couldn't have
have
done without
and
you.
my amazing guests. We have some of them. We've been very blessed to have some amazing guests, like the couple we have tonight. Lacy J Dalton, again, is a country award-winning artist, singer, songwriter. She is in a country music Hall of Fame. Now, Lacy J, are you in the Songwriters Hall of Fame as well?
I wish. No, I actually am not in the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
We got to figure out how to get you in there.
I have to write it in my head.
Listen, I got a lot of people down there at Gaylord. I might mix a couple phone calls for you.
Well, I will be sucking up, so.
You can suck up to me if you like. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely over here. And opposite Lacy J Dalton is our favorite goth horror author. His name is Alistair Cross, and he writes some amazing stuff. Alistair, how are you, my dear friend?
I am good. How are you guys?
Good.
Terrific. I was telling Alistair, every time I see him, his hair gets blonder and blonder. Yeah.
It's not real. It's a piece. No, I'm just kidding.
There you go.
Not a bad idea, though, Alistair. I've thought about it. I thought about wearing wigs, actually.
You should be lucky. So I've always had really, really light hair. And as I got older, it started going this really weird non-color. and I didn't know, I didn't think it would bother me, but it kind of did. And so I kind of started lightening it. And you should be glad because at least it's a little bit, when I first do it for the first couple of weeks, it is like snow white. It's creepy. Like it's like it starts faded already.
Wow.
So it's white now. Yeah, it's it could be worse.
Wow. Alistair, when did you start writing, bro?
Geez, I guess I was 8. Like I started really I did all kinds of different things. Like I would start with things like I'd draw comics, which never really stuck. I started writing little stories when I was like, yeah.
And when did you realize that maybe, hey, I can make a living doing this?
Well, nothing until it started happening. In 2005 I got really serious about it and started writing novels and submitting, and I didn't get published until 2013 or 12. So I did a lot of writing, submitting, being rejected, the whole, you know how it goes.
Right.
And then things picked up for me quite a bit, 15, 16.
Lacy J, is there any parallel between Alistair's story and yours?
Well, just that artists, we may write and we may sing for 20 years before anybody even notices, and then they call you a new artist.
Yeah.
50 years ago. Okay, great. I think it must be so hard to be a writer, to sit. To write books. To write a book, I think, is a really big deal. We always tried in country music to write 3-minute songs. When I became an Americana artist, then I could get longer. I could have longer songs. And a lot of the songs of the new stuff I've written are a little longer than 3 minutes, and I think more interesting. But for radio back in the day, in the 80s, when I was doing the country career, it was you wrote that 3-minute song and you had to kind of get your point across in 3 minutes. But that's kind of an easy thing. It's pretty easy to edit and edit and edit. But to write something, Alistair's books are thick and they're very satisfying because you want to take your time reading them. The characters are so interesting and so well developed, and it's like I'm so glad they're thick because it takes me a while to get through them, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you. I want to say something that's an interesting thing. You talked about writing and that writing songs and how that's different. I got to tell you, speaking of thick books, you know what's harder than writing a novel? Writing a short story. You know, it's even harder than writing a short story, writing a poem, which would be the equivalent to like a song. It is harder. I cannot write short stories. I cannot, because the thing about the novel is you have room to move, you have room to, explore. So I think songwriting would actually be incredibly hard because every single word has to count. And of course, if you're writing a novel, you want every word to count too. But let's be honest, you have a lot more room to move. So I really admire songwriters. I think that would be incredibly difficult because you can't just wander and go, oh, look, I've been inspired by this. Let me drag in this kitchen sink. You know what I mean?
Well, it's interesting you say that. One of the things that, and I know a few songwriters, one of the things that when I talk to songwriter friends of mine, when I talk about inspiration or what their muse is, what makes them cook, it's often just some of the most mundane things in life. Waking up and having a cup of coffee, seeing a flower placed just right, and and encapsulating that moment in lyrical form. And I don't know how to do that. I don't know where the mind has to go to do that. But Lacy J, you talked about having that 3-minute mark as that's your golden ticket.
Used to be.
In the early 60s, mid 60s, the Beatles, when they did Hey Jude, that was a 7-minute song for its time.
In pop music, they have a little more. They had a little more leeway. Probably still do have a little more leeway than country. Our country audience's attention spans are very short.
Yeah, right. But in
These are my people. I know them.
Even back in the day, Lee Greenwood's "Proud to Be an American" was considered long. Great song, but it was considered long for its time because it was 4 minutes and 8 seconds or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could get away with the occasional 4-minute song, but they weren't happy with you.
Right.
Radio called a lot of the shots, and they wanted it to be short and sweet and repetitious as hell. The more often you could say whatever the hook line is, the line that everybody wants to sing along with. That's what we call a hook. And often when you're writing, you start writing from that, that hook. We
know that hook well on this show. My hook.
Yeah. I'm always afraid I'm going to get the hook on your show.
My hook is Amelia. She come up to me with the idea for having you and Alistair. I said, okay, well, what's the hook? How do we tie this together? And here's how we tied this together. Lacy J Dalton's latest for the Black Sheep. Well, Alistair writes about nothing but black sheep.
I think probably Alistair is a black sheep. Having read his writings, he writes outside the pale, and a lot about the pale, actually.
Yeah.
But I have to say I'm so honored that Amelia, that you had this idea to have us both on the show, because
thank you.
And Mad Dog, thank you for the introduction, because I didn't know Alistair and didn't know what work he did, and I didn't know how much I would love it until we talked about him on the show. We talked about him and said, do you like this genre? And I said, yes, I do like that genre. But it's weird. I can only take so much of the really disgusting, I never liked the Freddy Krueger movies, okay?
Right.
Yeah.
But I did like, even though it was even bloodier, maybe things like Interview with a Vampire, where there's a little, and even better things than that, things that are where there's kind of a romance with a dangerous man. See, that's what I got to admit.
It took a while, in the full disclosure, it took a while to put this show together and to have you guys together here, because Amelia and I went back and forth with what's the commonality, what's the hook, what's the common thread. Well, and I guess the common thread is that thread that goes through all human beings. We all have a dark side. Even some beautiful soul like Lacy J Dalton's got the little evil lurks inside her somewhere. and that was Amelia kind of said, we're all a little bit kind of devilish,
So we're all black sheep for sure.
In that spirit, Amelia, as I promised you, I'm gonna, as I said, this is your puppy. You're gonna start us off. So go for it, kid. It's all you.
Well, that too is when Lacy was on our show the last time, and I know that Alistair was watching the show, and Lacy had mentioned when she was going to prisons and helping out the prisoners, and with her music, and then Alistair was in our chat saying that he would also help prisoners as well with his writing. And I thought, why don't we bring these two together to see how each of them helped the prisoners, and see if they could talk about that and how they helped with the prisoners.
Well, that's really interesting. Alistair, I didn't know that you had done that. What did you do?
Me? You know what? It's actually not my writing. It's actually with AA. I'm 20 years sober, so I can talk about it now.
Yay! All of my friends are AA. almost all of them.
Yeah, so I do. I take AA out to the prisons, and I do that twice a week. Right now, I'm doing it about once once a week at this point, but I did it for a long time, and I tuned into the show because I'm actually a Lacy J Dalton. I actually have a Lacy J Dalton story, which I can tell you, but first.
Oh dear God!
No, it's a good story.
And I know he was okay to say this. So.
I was really, really just excited to see that you had her on. I am actually a fan, like, you know, and I when I saw her and I was watching it, she's talking about the prisons. I just thought that's really cool that you do that. And so I made some comments. So it's a strange thing that we have that in common, but you know, I love it. That's cool, you know.
Artists, Alistair. Artists are the most generous people. I love artists.
Yeah.
Really, I really do. We're not this. We're different. We're a little different. And I think we are naturally more empathetic people. I really do believe that. Not more empathetic than anybody in the whole world, but I think artists tend to be empaths. And I think that when you do that kind of work, you know, Alistair, they're so grateful. The inmates are so grateful when they have someone like you come in to be with them while they're doing their AA meetings, because they have to have an outside person to be there to, you know, watch over what's going on. And it's always sort of on their free time, and it's also on your free time.
Right.
Well, it's a tremendous gift to them, and they look forward to it. And it's so important. Programming in prisons absolutely works. People can absolutely change it. People can absolutely get better. And that's all there is to it. And you know, people that want to throw somebody in a prison and throw away the key, you are not thinking, and you don't know what you're talking about. Right. You just don't. You've got to go in there and meet those people.
Yes.
Well, and that they are people. I mean, for God's sake, when I first went, you know, I just thought, you know, I want to do something. I want to be, you know, helpful. I don't really know exactly what. I've never been in prison. I don't know what it was that made me think, well, I'll do that. But for whatever reason, I did. And I remember walking in, and I'm sure you can remember this yourself. The first time they shut those doors behind you, and that, you know, and you're like, whoa, wait, what am I doing, you know? But as soon as I got in and I started, you know, talking to the people, I was really amazed. And there are a lot of people there who are there because they made mistakes, and they want to change. And I'm all for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the more that we look to rehabilitation in prisons and stop just warehousing people for their entire lives because they did something when they were 16 or 17 years old and got a life sentence because their skin is brown, which is great. A lot of it is that, and a lot of it is that there's a lot of poverty in minorities, and poverty breeds bad choices sometimes because people get desperate, and you know, it's a little different thing. About every one of the boys, I sat them down in a circle one time. We had about 35 in our guitar class, and we were teaching them how to write songs and how to play the guitar and how to read music and all that. And one of the first things I did was I sat them all in a big circle, and I said, okay, only one person in this circle can talk at a time. And I want to ask you what you were doing when you were 7 years old. Did you ever think that you would end up, because I did 20 to life, do you ever think you would be confined for the rest of your life in a prison? And the answers that I got were so telling. You know, I had one kid that said, my mama was a tweaker. My daddy was a biker. Or my daddy was a biker, my mama was a tweaker. I was born in a trailer park west of Topeka. And that became a song. We actually wrote a song called Pitbull Paradise together because of what he said. But almost to a person, every one of them came from a background where either grandma was a drug dealer, grandpa was a drug dealer, daddy was a drug dealer, mama was a drug dealer, and they were proud to be a drug dealer, and they were going to stay in that, because when you're in the ghetto or in the barrio, the only person that has nice clothes and a nice car and, you know, the things that people naturally want when they're kids, the role models that they had were all drug dealers. So they don't all deal drugs and they don't all do drugs, but they often come from very, very, very bad backgrounds, so that they don't have role models until they get to prison. And then if the prison staff is smart enough to realize, and I had a fabulous warden that I worked with who is now second in command in California in all the prisons, and he really supported what we were doing, and he couldn't believe the changes that he saw, over the years in these inmates who finally had a way to express themselves and were able to talk about their past and not be ashamed and not feel like non-human things.
Right.
Go ahead, Amelia.
Yeah. Also, when you said you got the songwriting, did any of them ever say, "No, I don't want to do this because it's too painful," Lacy, to do that?
Well, sometimes they would get into, one of my closest friends in there started to write a song about his mother, who was a very, very vicious woman, and she actually threw him to the streets when he was about 11 years old. And he started this song called "She Threw Me to the Streets." And I don't think he's been able to finish it yet, but I talked to him not long ago and he said he is working on finishing it. But the things that are really close to their hearts and really painful, if they get into a song about that, sometimes they can really exorcise a whole lot of those demons by writing that song. Other times they'll say, I need to put this aside for a while and work on something else.
Right.
And you just know that they've gotten into something that they're not wanting to look at right now. And I don't like that when I'm writing.
Mm-hmm.
There's things that, I write a lot about what I know about, which is me. And
Alistair Cross is the author of the Vampires of Crimson Cove series.
Yes.
Book 1 is The Crimson Corset. Book number 2, The Silver Dagger. Book number 1, my favorite right here, The Black Wasp. That's number 3.
I'm on black now.
Right.
I said The Black Wasp, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Do you know what? I love the best?
Placement is everything, remember. And then, of course, Midnight Ripper. Now, I'm going to talk about that. By the way, Alistair,
Birthday.
I'll buy number 6 if you give me number 5, because I got the first 4.
Okay.
I'm reading number 6 right now, and I don't want to finish it because I'll be like, oh no, if I finish it, I have to wait again for the next one.
So I want to talk to you about this. One of the things we talked about earlier is that Lacy J Dalton has the black sheep for the black sheep. And I was almost kind of facetious, but I'm serious in regards to the black sheep, the characters here. There are a number of family black sheep that woven through the Vampires of Crimson Cove series, all 6 books, by the way. How do you create continuity with so much going on in so many variations with the same people, and often change a character or 2 here or there, but yet remain faithful to the story?
Believe it or not, a lot of it is just instinct. And I think you kind of either have it or you don't. And I'm not saying that it can't be taught. I'm sure that it can, but it's like, when I was, 16, I ended up moving around with my dad. My mom and dad got divorced, and we ended up in some little town in New Mexico. And I was so white, as you can see, that when I went to go to school there, they actually suggested that I don't. They said that's not a good idea. The girls will like him, but the boys won't like him at all. So I couldn't really get a job. I didn't speak Spanish. I was too white to really be out in public. So what I ended up doing for about 9 months of my life, when I was 15, is watching soap operas. I never really thought about this. I never really made the connection until you asked that question. But I watched soap operas for like 9 months of my life, day in and day out. That's what I did. And I loved the way, and believe it or not, I got into it. Like I was like into General Hospital, and like one day, like One Life to Live, all those. Really, but it's like, and you tell a story and you start getting invested in this character, and then cut to the next one. They're always leaving you on a cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. And I think that when I write, I didn't really think about that. I've actually had people actually make that connect, like it's kind of like soap opera. But anyway, I didn't really think about it, but I think that's kind of what I'm doing. I think that taught me. And so it's like you bring it to this point and then cut it here. It's just intuitive at this point, and then keep going, and then bring it back and move it, and it's like this choreography. It's kind of like a dance where you're constantly hoping to be keeping the reader going, wanting more. So I never get bored. You hear writers talk about things like the sagging middle of a book. Oh, it gets hard in the middle. I never have that because I kind of do that choreography thing. So soap operas, that's how.
Yeah, that's good.
I guess. It's the best
I've got a question for Lacy J. Lacy, let's talk to you a bit, and let's be very candid about this. I want to talk to you a little bit about the inner workings of country music. There is in conventional music a dark underbelly. I'm imagining there probably exists there in country music as well. Has anyone had the cojones to write about it without mentioning names or circumstances?
I'm sure they have. I haven't read anything like that, but these things are not really secrets, and everybody wants to know about the darkness. Hence Alistair's success. But there is a dark underbelly to all business.
Let's talk about For the Black Sheep. When you were here the last time, we peripherally, I guess, glossed over it, given the time constraints. Where did that come from? Why did you write that? And were there individuals in mind, or was that for the general black sheep in every family?
I wrote this because I'm not into churchianity and I'm not into religiosity, but I sure do love the Lord. And there are so many people now who just cannot find what they're looking for in ordinary churches. There are too many rules, and a lot of them have nothing to do with what Christ taught, which is a very simple thing. It's what he said. The most important thing he ever said was love God with all your heart, mind, and spirit. Love yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. That is the whole of the law. All the other laws of life are based upon it, and that is what I came to teach. Anything more than that, when you start getting into this Puritan stuff, and we have such a problem in this country. We are such Puritans. They've had some sort of a wretched effect.
I am so glad to hear you say that. You don't even know. I am so glad to hear you say that. Amelia will attest to this fact. I have separated myself from church. Mm-hmm. My nephew is the pastor of the church. I separated myself from family and church because it's bullshit.
Well, not all of it. And
there's a lot of it. 99% of it is bullshit. It's pomp and circumstance. It's showbiz. Let's be honest about it. It's showbiz. There's a guy in front on a stage doing a show.
If that's true, that's true. But
and
Jesus,
so what I did
only he was real.
followed. I think you'll be very proud of me. I followed the Lenny Bruce approach to religion, which was I left church and found God.
Yes,
That's what happened.
And that's true in AA. You know, they don't even say God in AA. They, Alistair, tell everybody what in AA you refer to what?
Higher power, right?
Yeah, and the reason for that is because there's so many people with that religious trauma that you're going to turn away from it. I mean, if you walk into a meeting, and I mean, I never had a problem with God. That word does not trigger me. It doesn't upset me. But a lot of people, it would walk into a meeting and somebody says, oh, God this, God that, Jesus. Some people are going to be like, oh, this is a religious thing. I don't want to do it. It's like but it's not. It's only asking you to find a power greater than yourself. Find something to believe in. And for some people, that's really, really hard. But you know what? Alcohol for an alcoholic is a power greater than yourself. That's why you couldn't put it down. There are lots of powers greater than myself. I don't have a problem with the idea of God. So yeah, it's more of a spiritual thing, I guess, than religious.
I think that's what we need to return to. And I think we need to see the spirit. I truly believe that the spirit that animates us all is one spirit that animates all the things, everything in the world. I do believe that. And when I look at you, I know that the same spirit that is in me, that is my conscience, really. And some people don't have one. Some people simply can't access that, but it's still there. It's there anyway. And I believe it's in every living thing, and we are all connected. And I do believe it is possible to learn how to really live and let live. And amen.
Right. And that is another really interesting thing I have to say, that another interesting thing we have in common, because what you just described is exactly what I believe. I think of us as kind of pieces or parts of the same whole. I mean, you worded it better, but that's exactly what I've always believed. That just makes sense to me.
You're like leaves on a billion leaves on a single tree.
Right, exactly. Perfect. See, yeah, really good ways of saying this stuff.
and on that note, we go from the sublime to the ridiculous. Here is Amelia's favorite commercial ever.
Not my favorite.
Do you have sweaty balls or volleyball netty balls? It's time to make them ready balls. The Manscaped.com Lawnmower 3.0 will do the job and clean your knob with its patented no-nick head, so your head will function as desired. Enter promo code Wrestling Future for a generous 20% discount. That's enter Wrestling Future for a 20% discount. Manscaped.com. And Wrestling with the Future, going balls to the walls with Manscaped.com. And the Lawnmower 3.0, your balls will thank you. And so will we.
Hey Max, what's going on? I'm X, and from this moment on, I'm going to be your own personal AI DJ on Spotify. Let's go. Up next, I know you've been on a summer song kick lately, so I went back for some of your old summertime favorites to see if it warms you up. Next up, some of the music you had on a lot back in 2018.
Do you think of me? Walking out there.
All right, Max, let's get you out of your feels and switch up the vibe. You've been into dance music lately. I got this brand new release to get you moving. Introducing DJ, the best of Spotify made just for you, one tap away. Powered by AI, delivered by me, your very...
For expert body work and collision repair, there's only one place in Clementon, New Jersey. It's Bruce's Collision Center at 114 White Horse Pike in Clementon, New Jersey.
Call Bruce at 856-783-1475. And tell him the Mad Dog sent you from WWTF Radio, global and around the world.
It's What's the Buzz, America's podcast. I am the Mad Dog. She is the Pitbull. And this is What's the Buzz? Open Forum. Tonight, Lacy J Dalton, America's favorite queen of country music, and my personal favorite. And Alistair Cross. And this guy can just plain old fucking write, folks. He can just write. I could see Alistair's a friend of the show. He's been here a few times, you know. So we're like, it's like an old home week. This is all cool stuff.
Yes.
Lacy, you're a really nice person, and it's hard to imagine that you have. I'm going to go there. You have a really, really open, beautiful, demonstrative personality, and people love you. Is there a darkness, dude? Let's just be honest. We're friends here. Nobody's listening, just us. Okay. You and me and like 17 million of our closest friends. Is there a darkness that lingers there, or like how well do you hide this shit?
Well, I do
really
know. I
everybody
do
loves you.
every dark, rotten corner of my little raisin heart. If that's what you're asking, I know how bad I am. I know all the dark places, and I don't know if that does me any good or not. But I try to keep those parts in the box. I try to keep the lid on that. But it's not that it isn't there. I think we all have light and dark in us, and the whole world has light and dark in it. And
and there is
if we didn't.
You went where I wanted you to go. That's like
I'm in trouble. Busted.
You went where I wanted you to go, and that's why I know that you and I are kindred spirits. Okay, now because you've admitted to me and our friends on the entire world that there's a sliver of darkness. I'll stop short of calling it evil, folks, but there's a little sliver of darkness there. Can you, as a singer-songwriter, take that little slice of hell that lives within inside you, and can you manifest that into a beautiful song? And can you turn that darkness to light?
Oh, I think I did, and I think very eloquently on the Black Sheep album, I have a song called "Everybody Loves to Hate." And I didn't excuse myself from the class.
That was still a dark part
inside. And Leslie's telling I had a long marriage, quite a long marriage, to my business manager, and we always said that if in the unlikely event that we would ever fall out of love and not be together, that he would make sure that he gave me the business. Well, sir, he gave me the business.
Yes, he did.
And I wrote a song about it, and I did an EP with it. The song is called Scarecrow.
Well, when something like that happens, that becomes a very public thing, because you live your life in a fishbowl, and like it or not, you put yourself in the public eye, and so your life is open to scrutiny. Do you ever worry about that, and can that also fodder its way into a really great selling song?
Well, I think any artist, I think Alistair can probably agree with this. I think it's some of the darkness. It actually is. Sometimes when I'm feeling the absolute worst, hopeless and lost and doubting and just wrong, if I start to write a song at that time, a lot of times some really good stuff comes out. And I'm sure that Alistair, can I ask you if it's like that with you as well?
Absolutely. I mean, it's absolutely. It's. I think that all emotions are required for a full spectrum of whole human experience of writing. And I think that the darkness a lot of good things have come from the darkness, a lot of creative things, a lot of hope. It's a necessary thing. And I agree with you, Lacy, that I think everybody has light and dark in them. And I think that even the dark has its uses if you are to, say, channel it into something positive like that, like what we're talking about.
Alistair, I have a question right along. I'm sorry, Lacy, and I'll let you continue on. I got to do this while it's still fresh. I will forget. I promise. Alistair, you've written overtly dark characters, but then you've also written characters that seem congenial and upbeat that have a very, very dark underbelly. What is, in your opinion, what is the more evil of that two scenario?
Well, I think if you read like, say, the vampire series all the way through, I think what you'll see a lot of is light, good people turning bad people turning good. I love that transformation because I think that we're all capable of it. I do it through the medium of, say, like vampire venom. It's like in my writing, in these books, the vampire venom is like a drug, and it changes the way you behave. It changes what you want. It changes who you are. And so I like taking good people and kind of making them go dark, but I also like taking dark characters and making them go good. What I ultimately I think at the end of the day, what all these stories that I write are probably the battle of good and evil, and in my world, good always wins. And this is why it's a hard job to have to be a horror author, because people assume that you're immoral, that you're bad, and that your writing is just blood and guts. And it's like, well, yeah, that shit entertains me. I'm not gonna lie. I like the violence, the sex, the gore. It's great fun, but I'm not a slasher writer.
Right.
Like, I'm not gonna follow a story even that somebody else wrote about, some like a guy in a mask stalking people, nodes, and killing them. It's like, but where's the story? Where's the character development? What's the meaning?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you say horror, people think, oh, slasher, blood and guts, and that's the hard. That's. And I think I went a little bit off track somewhere along the way.
Alistair, does the blood and guts aspect of a story cheapen the story, in your opinion? Is it overused in Gothic and horror?
Yes and no.
In those genres?
Yes and no. It's like, what are you using it for? If you're using it for well, I mean, as a horror writer, you want to be scary. If you're being scary and that's what your audience wants, then no. But if you're like, I don't really know what to do here, so I'm just going to gross people out, then no. You know what I mean? Then it's just a cheap shot. It can be overused. It can be misused. But it is not inherently in and of itself a bad thing. I mean, it's just like sex. You know what I mean? I've read books before that I'm like, well, I mean, this is great, but why? Why are we stopping every 7 pages so that these people can very, pornographically, have sex? I'm like, it's great. Who cares? It's fun, but what's the point?
Right.
Yeah. Lacy J. Conversely, let's talk about this. Is there? We know that there is clearly an Alistair Cross signature. Is there a Lacy J Dalton signature? What, if so? What's your signature song? Forget about 16th Avenue. I'm talking about, forget about the popular ones. I want to know what you would consider it for you. What is your signature song? The one that you go, yeah, I'm proud of that. It didn't make 1 million copies, but I still love that song. Your diamond in the rough.
I have a couple songs. One is a story song, and it's very similar to a song like Pancho and Lefty. It's kind of that Southwest kind of story song thing. It's about a couple of real desperados right at the end of their lifetime. And it's called Adios and Run. And my very favorite singer-songwriter in the whole world is Chris Christopherson. And I got to play that song for Chris and his wife when we were on tour in Europe, and they cried. That was probably, and people don't know that song. A lot of people don't. I'm going to re-record it. So there's a very good recording of it on CBS Records, I think, but I want to re-record it and do some more songs like that, because there's something about the Southwest. There's a fascination I have with Mexico and outlaws, and not now, in the past.
Yeah.
There's something I like about that whole thing. And it really was the outlaws that brought me back to country music. I had strayed. I grew up in a country music family and strayed and listened to Bob Dylan and Joan Baez and Janis Joplin and all that. And so when I went to Nashville, I was signed as an outlaw artist. And so that song was an outlaw song, and I like it very much. And probably the other song that it took me 40 years to write is a song called Standing Knee Deep in the River and Dying of Thirst. And that's a song that says, here you are, ready to kill yourself. Things are just horrible. Nothing's going right. You don't believe in anything. You just want to die. Well, before you do anything rash, you might want to consider that you're standing knee deep in a river of life and excitement and stimulus and experience. And even if there is nothing after this, every minute, every second of this is an incredible feast of sights and sounds and feelings and just amazing experiences. So you're standing knee deep in the river and dying of thirst. And this song reminds you that there is a higher power, and there is somebody steering the ship, and it's all going to be all right. I'm like Alistair. I like to have happy endings in my songs.
Well, I will tell you, Lacy J Dalton, I am standing knee deep in a pile of my own tears because I have to say goodbye to you, sweetheart. I promised Leslie that I would have you out of here in a timely manner. And if I don't, she won't like me no more, and you'll never come back.
There's nothing you can do to make us not like you. We like you
okay.
with your whatever and all.
Thank you for being here. You are always one of our perennial favorites. Honest to God, you really are. And thank you for joining Alistair. And this was something we wanted to do, to get the two of you guys together.
I am so honored to be sharing this time with you, Alistair. Really, thank you. And thank you, Amelia, for your idea of putting us together on the show. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Anytime.
You're very, very, and again, you have
loved meeting you, Lacy. Like I'm a fan. And meeting you is really, really cool. And I'm thank you guys for putting this together. It's exciting. And you're so cool.
You're so cool, but I knew you would be. I just do this, I'm still, by the way, praying for Michael. I know it's probably a lost cause, but I'm praying for Michael. I have 2 books to go, half of the Black Wasp and the other 2. So I'm praying for that.
I'm learning about
it. I love that book.
I spent half my life in Santa Cruz. So reading your stuff about Crimson Cove in Santa Cruz, I know all those places. I know the Brookdale Lodge, which is, I'm sure, I played music in that big old place.
Next time that we get you back on the show, try to bring John Schneider with you too.
He is a very fun guy.
We actually have John Schneider hookup on the show here. Our friend Sean Bailey.
And Lacy J Dalton too.
Dear friends. Oh, by the way, I gotta tell Tanya.
I've never said this. I know.
Lacy, I have to tell you something. We were able to ascertain Tanya Tucker's personal phone number.
Holy.
and I'm going to call it, and I'm going to give you her number. I'm going to send it to Leslie, so you can call and bust her chops.
Did she come on the show? She needs to
I'm
be
working on getting her on.
Oh, she needs to be on.
If she'll ever stop pouring long enough to stay in one fucking place long enough.
They're wearing her out, poor girl. She's she is so fun. She's really a fun person.
But she doesn't stay still long enough to like take a phone call. I gotta keep leaving messages and oh my god. Anyway,
we need to prank call this person. Why is nobody thinking let's prank her?
You are always welcome here, and thank you so much for stopping by, Leslie. Thank you. I love you, kid.
Yes, thank you, Leslie.
Lacy, I will see you next time around. All right, kiddo.
I would love it, and I hope that we can, Alistair and I can be on a show together again. Can you make that happen in the future?
I can absolutely do that.
Really?
Absolutely.
Would you like that, Alistair? Because I
would absolutely love that. I would love that. Sincerely.
I got a hookup for that for sure. I got
all right. And that's what we'll prank call Tanya.
Right now. What did you say? Was talking.
What'd you say, Alistair?
I said that's when we'll prank call Tanya.
Well, listen, Lacy, thank you so much, so much, and take care. Have a great night. My love and my heart are with you wherever you travel. Just remember, you got a little bit of Mad Dog in you somewhere.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, you guys.
It was great meeting you.
Oh, she's so sweet.
She is a doll baby.
Mm-hmm.
She is absolute. Oh, she is a doll baby. Alistair, tell you what, I want to be honest with you. Now it's confession time. I am going to be honest with you. I didn't know how I was going to pull this off.
I didn't either. I was like, okay. I mean, I'm game, but
somehow we made it happen.
It worked.
I just, you know what it is on a show when you're live like this, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what somebody's going to say. Nothing is scripted. Right. So what you do is, and I've been doing this a long time. I make mental notes and I find trigger points to connect. I call them magnet points. These little points that stick together with their various guests because we all have commonality. I don't care, famous, infamous, rich, poor, whatever. We all have commonality. And then my job, sometimes it's the easy job and sometimes it's a pain in the arse. But my job is to find that magnet point and then put these two magnets together. Thankfully, it worked out tonight. And you got the rest of the show to yourself now. So
well, what happened was that she wanted to tell him what a big fan she was of his books, and I wanted to make that happen.
Yeah, exactly.
That was so cool. I mean,
who told me that?
I became aware of Lacy J Dalton when I was 12 or 13, and always loved, the voice. God, that voice.
Yes.
And to hear that she likes my work. That's so cool. Like, you have no idea.
Well, oh my God. When she was on the show, Alistair, I'll tell you what. Then I'm not, Amelia, please tell me if I am stroking in any way, shape, or form. When she was on the show the second time with us, we had mentioned you. Mm-hmm. And because you were you were coming up a few nights after her.
He was commenting too on the show.
Yeah. And we mentioned you, and I showed your picture and I showed the books. Mm-hmm. And she said, "Oh, he's a very interesting looking man." I said, "You ought to see the way he writes. He's a hell of an author." Mm-hmm. So I sent her manager, Leslie, all of your info and your links. Wow. She bought 4 of your books.
She bought them right then and there while we were on the show.
She bought the 4 that were out at the time.
Yeah.
Well, she's talking about Michael and Gretchen. and you can tell she's reading them, and that's just
she's reading absolutely. She's reading these books for
really
sure.
Cool to hear that. Like that's like one of those moments that you're like, wow, these are the things you do this for. It's not. Yeah. This is why you do it. It's like, wow. Like I said, I discovered her when I was 12 or 13, and been a fan. So it's like to my 13-year-old self. Can you imagine? You know what I mean? That's cool.
Right. After I finished reading,
that's how I felt when I first saw Elvis Presley. I was like, I became a little kid again.
Right. Yeah. Right. That's really cool.
And then,
these are the moments you live for. It's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Amelia.
Yes.
What is your favorite of the Crimson Cove series? I never asked you that.
Right now I'm reading The White Room, so I'm getting to the part because you know how you leave it on a cliffhanger, and the house.
Well, he likes to do that because he's a prick sometimes.
And the sheriff in the house is all I'm going to say because I don't want to give it away. They have to buy and read the books.
Wait, don't give it away. He wants to sell some books.
That's why I said the sheriff and the house is all I said.
How he makes his living. Don't give the ending of the book away. They want to buy it.
They have to read it to find out why I'm talking about the sheriff and the house. I'm going to read Savannah Sleep is my next one in between until you finish book number 7 because I can't wait to buy that one next.
All right, cool. I'm actually a little bit behind on that one. I've had a lot of things going on. I'm usually very, usually in October, September, October, I have a new one out. This one might be a little bit later. It's, but it's coming.
That's okay. We've had a lot going on here too. So.
Yeah.
It's been nuts.
Alistair, what was your favorite to write?
The White Room. The one that.
Oh, okay.
I can see that one. You're like so passionate in that one.
What was it about that particular journey or catharsis of a journey that spoke different to you, that made that enjoyable for you?
Wrapping up the plot lines of a lot of characters that have been even from the first book. They're evolving, and it's like eventually this has got to come to a head. And I have other things I want to bring in, and you can't just keep adding. These books are going to be this big, you know what I mean? And so being able to wrap up so many plot lines, like several of them, like Scythe and Chester, Amelia. Those Chester's storyline, I was trying to conclude that way back in book 4.
Right.
And then it didn't work. And then I tried it in 5 and it didn't work. And so in 6, I'm like, and then there's so many other ones. So bringing everything together and bringing that to a close so that I can open the door for new things. But the fun part of it, to answer the question, is bringing those threads to a close in the most exciting and meaningful way that I think does the characters justice.
How much sleep do you lose writing these? Because as Lacy said, and we know from past experience, these books look like the New York phone directory. They're very thick books. They're very, very thick books. That's a lot of writing, brother.
The only book that ever kept me up, I sleep like a baby. The only book that ever kept me up is the one that Amelia's getting ready to read, Sleep, Savannah, Sleep. I went to bed. I had finished the last book and I wanted to write a new one. And I went to bed and I was thinking, what do I do? What do I do? What's the next story? What's the next story? And I asked myself the question, what's the worst possible thing I could put a character through? I was in bed and I got up and I wrote it down. I went back to bed. I started getting ideas. I got up and I wrote it down. Next thing I know, it's about 8 o'clock in the morning and I've got the entire book plotted out. I haven't written it yet, but I've got.
Oh my God!
I don't usually plot like that, but I was up all night just putting. I couldn't stop. Other than that, I don't. That's not how I usually do things. And
when you have that kind of ebb and flow of storytelling, just like wanting to jump out at you, is it hard to contain it? And if you do contain it, what's your methodology for like putting a lid on it so it doesn't get away?
it is hard to contain, and the only way that I know how to put a lid on it is to carry it over into the next book and keep going.
There you go. Exactly.
Right.
Amelia, final questions for Alistair Cross.
Yeah. Oh, you and Tamara are finishing up a book as well, aren't you? A series?
Yes, we are finishing up. I estimate we're 2 or 3 weeks away from finishing the first draft of the 5th book in the Ravencrest saga, which is called The Bride of Ravencrest. So I'm really excited about that. It's actually really exciting. It's an exciting book. I'm excited about this.
I want to show everyone.
Ooh,
This is The Vampires of Crimson Cove. It is a 6-book series. They are all available right now. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Alistair Cross has about 3,000 books available. He's got a lot of books. He's got a lot of books, folks.
Yeah, all the covers revamped as well.
I have, look, it took me, and I'll be honest, it took me like a year to get through 2 books.
Not me.
No. And Alistair's got, like I said, about, maybe not 3,000, maybe like 2,800 of them. But he's got like a lot of books. But by far the most celebrated of Alistair Cross's work is The Vampires of Crimson Cove. It is a 6-book set. It is available now on Amazon and everywhere books are sold. Alistair Cross is on Facebook. Alistair is also at alistaircross.com. Is that correct?
Yep.
And you can buy the books directly from Alistair on his website, or, spend your money on Amazon and he's going to get paid from that too. It's all good. It's all good. Amelia, final questions for Alistair.
Yes. Anything else that you're going to be doing in between the time that you write? Any other leisure things that you do?
For fun?
Yeah.
No. I don't have time for. No, I mean.
Yeah, you know how he writes for fun?
I know.
Instead of dismembering someone, he just beheads them.
Yeah, right. I'm at a point in my life where a fun time is not having anything to do. I want to go sit outside and drink a cup of coffee and
there you go.
Maybe watch some TV.
That's a good thing to do. Just rest and relax.
There you go. Feed the cat and take a nap.
That's right.
Alistair, thank you, my friend, for joining us again. You will definitely be back here, and I hope it doesn't take a year to get you back.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. I love coming. And
you had a camera for us as well.
Oh, man, we love having you here. We're going to bring Lacy back. And, I think I might set this up where I just had an idea, Amelia.
Yeah.
I think I might set this up where we just we bring everybody on, and then you and I, we step out of the picture and just let Alistair and Lacy just have at it.
That would be fun. I'd be down with that. She's, what? It's an interesting thing. She
would have a ball with that, Alistair. She would have an absolute ball with that.
I would love that. No offense to you guys. You guys can come. You can be here.
I think Amelia and I are going to talk about that when we go off the air. Alistair, thank you very much, my friend. It's alistaircross.com, The Vampires of Crimson Cove, and a bunch of other books available. Go get them now. Thank you, my brother. Take care, and we will see you around the flip side.
Yeah, say hi to Tamara for us.
Thanks for having me. I will. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye. Great. That was amazing. That was a good show.
Yes.
Wow. It was still good, even though you were still here.
Hey. You're mean.
I have to bust your chops. No, it was a good one. That was a good one. Good show. I'll tell you what. I really was. I was worried about. There were 2 things I was worried about. Number one, I was worried about what's the hook. What am I going to use to tie everything together?
The writing.
That was taken care of. Well, here's the thing. That's part of it right there.
Yeah.
that was taken care of right at the beginning when Lacy talked about songwriting and finding a hook.
Yes.
There's my hook right there. Okay, I got that one. The second thing was the common thread. What's the common thread? Okay, they're both writers. They're both artists. They're both performers. Only Lacy performs on the stage. And Alistair performs through his book.
Right.
So that's the commonality.
Right.
And aside from, they're both really good at what they do.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, that's a lot of talent.
And I wanted to have him on.
Our chat room is oh man, Leon's here.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring him on because I wanted him to hear firsthand.
God,
I guess it was when Lacy was talking about God at that time.
But I got you. Okay.
And I wanted to bring.
I was thinking to myself, Leon, you're a little behind the 8 ball here, bro.
And I wanted to bring him on so that way he could hear firsthand how much of a big fan Lacy was of his work, because she had mentioned it to us before.
I remember.
Yeah, and so I thought, you know what? Why not let him hear firsthand, from her, so I thought that would be good.
Well, it worked out. It worked out perfectly. And I was very happy that, first of all, whenever you have Lacy J Dalton, that woman is 78 years old, and she's got like 60 years worth of stories inside of her, because she started performing when she was like a teenager.
Oh, absolutely.
Young, like 17, 18. She was a kid.
And what about, like, speaking of that, we've lost a Connie Francis. Can you believe that? That's sad.
Connie Francis, Pretty Little Baby, Who's Sorry Now, Stupid Cupid, Where the Boys Are, a Jersey girl, Connie Francis from Berlin, New Jersey, right up the street from here. People don't know that, but we know it here because she was one of our locals here. Connie Francis was a Jersey girl. She made her name on American Bandstand in Philadelphia with Dick Clark. She had a lot of friends named Frankie Avalon, Fabian, Bobby Rydell, the late Lou Christie. We lost Lou Christie 2 weeks ago. Oh my goodness! They're all gone. Yeah. Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees. He's the last monkey.
Yeah.
He's the last monkey. It's hard to imagine all these people are leaving us. They're all kind of, and the people that aren't leaving us are just not performing anymore. They're just stopped.
Or they're, performing.
Poor Frankie Valli. Poor Frankie Valli's 92 years old, and he still has to perform.
He barely performs.
He owes so much money.
Yeah, and look at the Ozzy Osbourne. He just had his last concert, but he had to do it sitting down, poor thing, and he could barely sing.
Ozzy Osbourne is a legend. Ozzy doesn't have to do anything but sit there.
Yeah.
Because he's Ozzy.
Yeah.
That's like Elvis Presley. He didn't have to do nothing. He could stand there and people would still applaud.
Yeah.
Because he was Elvis. He's Ozzy.
Yeah. It was
the godfather of the godfather of rock and roll. The godfather of heavy metal for sure.
Yeah, it was a sad concert to watch, but it was amazing, awesome.
But it was sad. Some people said it was sad. I say no, it was not sad. It was uplifting.
It was sad.
Look at everybody that showed up for that concert.
Yes.
Look at everybody that showed up and donated their time. And shame on you, Motley Crue. Shame on you.
Yeah.
You wanted to get paid, you pricks.
It was Motley Crue. Packed full of people. People could hardly just.
Shame on Motley Crue.
Yeah, I know. It was horrible about that. And I was like, really, people? I mean, they're there to see Ozzy, not you guys. If you're going to be there with your time and enjoy being around Ozzy. Come on. You're there with Ozzy Osbourne. Come on.
Yeah.
The legend.
What are we doing tomorrow night?
We're going to be having open forum tomorrow night. Talk about.
That's good. We get to talk about whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
I have to admit, laughing tonight made me feel a little bit better. I'm not in so much pain. Laughter is like medicine. It really, really is. But I will tell you, I was fighting through it, man.
Yeah.
Because
I'm
a little sore. I am really sore tonight. But I will not bitch and complain. I'm gonna suck it up and walk through it. Because there are people out there far less fortunate than me, and I got no right to complain. And I ain't gonna do it no more.
No.
We will do open forum tomorrow night. So what does that mean? It means whatever the fuck we feel like. Whatever we feel like. Anyway.
And don't worry, we don't have any Kiss Cams or Coldplay concerts.
Yeah, right. In the meantime, for Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman, I am the Mad Dog, Angelo DeCipio, and this is WTBR Radio, 88.7 BRS, global and live around the world. Take care, folks. We love you all. And Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, we will see you again tomorrow night. Take care. Bye-bye.